The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is having a woeful time at the box office, perhaps underperforming even Solo, a Star Wars story, the film that put the whole thing on ice for 7 years. But what if we told you there was a project near and dear to Kathleen Kennedy's heart, and as she was exited from the company, canceled? It's the Rey movie, but guess what else, folks? The final script was an attempt to attack the fans.
What we were attempting to do was to have this conversation in the movie, which is to say there is a force of nostalgia and there is a force of revision, and they are at odds with one another.
We now know what Kathleen Kennedy was planning, and maybe she was canceled out the way as she was going through the door. Folks, this is unbelievable what they thought they could get away with. This is far worse than anything we had even heard of. Marvin Montanaro writing this one. Damon Lindelof says his Rey movie would have explored the divide between old and new Star Wars fans. And can I just say, it was going to be a kick in the crotch for old Star Wars fans, and there really aren't many new Star Wars fans.
They were like, well, they didn't say who was going to be the bad guy. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who the J.J. Abrams disciple hired by Kathleen Kennedy was making the bad guy in this scenario.
I cannot believe anybody assigned this awful of a movie. Damon Lindelof has finally spoken about his scrap Star Wars Rey movie, and it sounds like it was going to be another Hollywood lecture about fandom, led by Obaid Chinoy. Remember that too. For years, Lucasfilm has struggled to figure out exactly what comes next for the Star Wars sequel trilogy era. The Rey-focused film, first announced by Kathleen Kennedy at Star Wars Celebration in 2023, complete with Daisy Ridley being brought out on stage, has since become one of the most troubled projects in the franchise's history. Writers have come and gone, rumors of rewrites have swirled for years, and production appears to have slowed to a crawl. Now, former Rey movie writer Damon Lindelof has finally revealed what his version of the film was actually going to be about. And holy cow, folks, it was the toxic fandom. They were going to take a swing at the fandom menace. Mm-hmm. Here's the interview on X.
And just to talk about the bantha in the room, I was fired off of a Star Wars movie. So asking me, they asked me, what do you think a Star Wars movie should be? And I said, here's what it should be. And they said, great, you're hired. And then 2 years later, I was fired. And so I was wrong, at least through that prism. But what we were attempting to do, my partner, Justin Britt Gibson and Raina McClendon, and I, what we were attempting to do was to have this conversation in the movie, which is to say there is a force of nostalgia and there is a force of revision, and they are at odds with one another.
Oh my gosh. They were seriously...
Let him say the next sentence.
Okay, next sentence. Here we go.
And let's do the Protestant Reformation inside Star Wars.
So under Kathleen Kennedy, because remember, what he's saying here is he pitched this. The person he would have pitched it to is Kathleen Kennedy. The pitch for the Rey movie was, what if we really dig into how much the Star Wars community is broken right now and make a movie about that with Rey?
The Last Jedi happened and fractured the fan base. Everyone hated The Rise of Skywalker. It lost money. Solo lost money. They're like, we have to fix this. How do we right the ship? Damon Lindelof is like, I know how, by attacking the fans. Let's do the Protestant Reformation in Star Wars. And Kathleen Kennedy was like, yes.
Wiz, I'm going to say that I think that Kathleen Kennedy's exit is what caused this to be canceled. I'm going to say that she was probably informed you're going away at the same time they took the keys away to this car. Because I think Kathy would have loved it.
I think the Acolyte is the thing. Go ahead, Wiz. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just because Marv and I have broken this down ourselves, and the timeline here really lines up around the Acolyte. So it would have been right around when the Acolyte was canceled or aired, and there was an internal shift that and actually when we think about it, like a lot of the projects that were announced post then and around that time also got put on ice because of all the turmoil there. It feels like the Acolyte is what killed this project, maybe not Kathy herself.
It's what Lauren always says about how much the Acolyte spooked them. It was because you figure they announced the Rey movie in 2023, so either they hire Lindelof in 2023, or if they were actually thinking forward, which I don't think they were, it would be 2022, and he gets fired 2 years later. So that's either 2024 or 2025, and that lines up with the Acolyte comes out, Disney sees the reaction, Alan Bergman cancels it, and all of a sudden all sequel era projects are swept off the table. And it's exactly what Lorne has been pontificating on for the last year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my feeling is for this movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, I think there probably was some more connective tissue, not necessarily to the sequels, but to other stuff, and I suspect that got stripped out. I think they wanted to play Mandalorian and Grogu as safe as they possibly could.
I now, by the way, I don't think the Rey movie's coming. I think it's over. Because if this was the premise, I mean, Lauren, how stupid can you be? I don't want to be insulting to people, but I just have to be here. The fandom was broken, hating on Star Wars, and the idea was, well, what if we lean into that? Like, let's really jab the finger in the people who are criticizing us.
Like, what if we take a religious reformation and then just make that about hating the fans?
Right. Hey, can we also make sure that we drive the Catholics and the Protestants crazy and get the fury of that involved in Star Wars? Boy,
let's involve religion. That's what we need to do right now to really, appeal to the masses.
let's make a metaphor about the Quran while we're at it and throw that in here for the heck of it too.
It doesn't polarize anybody. Religion,
No.
It's not a polarizing idea.
So it's clear to me why Kathy had to go, and it's clear to me why Lucasfilm needs to be shaken to its core. The fact that this went into development for 2 years.
Could you imagine Alan Bergman sitting there and he's like, well, what do you got for this movie that you announced at Star Wars Celebration? And she says this, what
Right.
Alan Bergman's reaction to that is?
Right. And can you imagine too? I mean, so the script is supposed to be something that divides the fans, pits them against each other, nostalgia versus revisionism. It's going to be a reference to the Protestant Reformation, and it's going to be directed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who is a very powerfully an advocate for feminism, and at the same time also, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, she is a faithful person who believes in Islam. Now, how's that for everything that you can possibly come up with? Just mush that together. I feel like we need one of the four horsemen of atheism to hop in. Where's Sam Harris? Can Sam Harris cameo just for the heck of it too? Can we do that?
Let's have Bill Maher consult on this one.
Oh, man.
But, they bring in Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, who says that she loves to make men uncomfortable, who says she can't wait to explore Rey's role as a female Jedi specifically, and says it's about time a woman gets to direct the story in a galaxy far, far away. I mean, this was the perfect storm. Not only was this, going to be deeply divisive because you're attacking the fans, it stars the character they all hate.
Yes. And the other characters around her that they don't want either. And okay, so here's the other thing too about this, all right? And maybe Rose Tico would have had like half the screen time. They came up with this plan. Just to think about the Kathleen Kennedy Lucasfilm era. They came up with this plan after the Galactic Star Cruiser, based on the sequel trilogy, became the biggest flop in the history of theme parks and had to go under. And they wouldn't switch. Lucasfilm wouldn't let the theme park switch it to the original trilogy. They wouldn't let the Galaxy's Edge stuff switch the original trilogy until Kathy was gone. And while this was happening, they said, what if we incite them more? Mm-hmm. What if we really, just get the red hot poker and go to town, baby.
It's because Kathy hates the fans.
Yes.
Every interview that she has done has been about how unfair the fans are and their expectations and how you can't possibly meet them and blah, 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 blah. It is Kathy hates the fans. She likes anything that takes things away from them. She ate up the let the past die, kill it if you have to rhetoric.
And here's the other thing, Lauren. Daisy Ridley should wake up every day and say, thank you. Thank you, Lord. Whatever she believes in. Thank you to the divine that this didn't happen and I wasn't in this movie.
I'm not so sure about that because it ain't like she's working anyway. It's
better to not work than to be in something that permanently ends your career, and this would have done it.
I think she might already be there. That's my point. I think at this point she'd be happy for a paycheck. It's Kathleen is like somebody in the chat sort of mentioned it. I'm going to rephrase it slightly. It would be like somebody pitching something to Lucasfilm and saying, well, what if we actually gave Luke a wife and made her Mara Jade? And then Kathleen jumps in and says, but what if instead we took that away and we gave him the Force? That's kind of the way that she acts. She knows what the fans want. Lucasfilm knows what the fans want. They will refuse to give it to them at any opportunity. This is what has gotten them in trouble for this long. They are capable of producing what the fans want. They simply refuse.
Spielberg said that was one of Kathy's things, where she was just like, what if he doesn't get the girl, but he does get the dog?
Right.
That's what I was referencing.
Yeah, I figured that was what you were referencing, but like, it's that you're exactly right. That is how she operates.
I feel like
it's not just that she hates the fans either. She also hates the property. She was never a fan of Star Wars. She doesn't like Star Wars. When she was asked, were you a fan of Star Wars? The way that she answered was she was a fan of what Star Wars accomplished. She could recognize that it had actually been a global hit and created a platform for power, but she couldn't like the property itself.
Yeah, I actually think Kathy's worse. I think that if you were to say to her, "Hey, Kathy, we got a plan. We're gonna get Luke back and do a movie before he dies from force exhaustion, and this time we're gonna give him Mara Jade," and she would say, "Well, who's that?" And they would say, "Well, it's the purple-haired wife that he had," and she would say, "Oh, cool. Can we kill her too?" Like that's what I think Kathy actually goes to. Wiz, I'm gonna give you the final word on this one. We're finding out, of course, that this was canceled, and thank goodness for that because it sounds atrocious. But on top of all this, Wiz, I can't help but notice that this got canceled about the same time that The Acolyte got canceled as well. And so I wonder if there was a wholesale change where Disney at some point came in and said, Kathy, until you're out, you're not making decisions and we're stopping all this. Because it kind of happened simultaneous.
At this point, all of us on this panel have seen The Mandalorian and Grogu, and whether we like it or not, whether we like it or not, it is the safest possible thing that they can comprehend, that they can imagine, that they can come up with. It is so almost impossibly safe. And the only way that something that's so impossibly safe gets produced out of a company like Disney, which has been antagonizing the audience for the last over 10 years now, is if a suit has come downstairs to Lucasfilm and said, "What are you doing? Things are going to change. We're taking over. You're playing by our rules. We're going to play it out as if, hey, Filoni's in charge." There was an interview that he did for The Mandalorian and Grogu where he said, well, the sky's the limit. We can go wherever we want now. We can do whatever we want. I think that is all to save face because Maul underperforms with the ratings. And Mandalorian and Grogu is not expected to do gangbusters with making money at the box office. So I think it's all money, and I think the suits are getting involved. The problem with that is the suits are not storytellers. They don't understand the fans. They don't care to understand the fans. There are 5 people who are ruining the entertainment, okay? It's the shills, journalists, writers, marketers, and corporate executives. The combination of those 5 people is why we can't get anything that's better than okay.
10-4 on that, 10-4 on that. And folks, we'll keep an eye on it, but it looks like the Rey movie is kaput. It's gone. It is no more. And we will keep an eye on what's happening at Lucasfilm. What will they decide after Mando? Well, the box office will prove out where we're going. But for now, just know there ain't no Rey coming anytime soon.
You'd better hang on to your feathers, little bird. They need to put you in the show.
What? Jose, what are you listening to? You don't even have ears.
Vacation Radio 24/7. Original music on YouTube.
Huh?
Vacation Radio. WDW Blues Music Channel.
I have no idea what you're saying. But if you want to be listening to music, you should head over to Vacation Radio 24/7 on YouTube. One of the 100 other channels WDW Pro's been working on. Oh, and I have a song for you, Jose. Jose Cowabunga. He is Jose Cowabunga.
He's Jose.
That one seems a little bit foreign to you.